Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Full Experience. This is an experiment in understanding television where we watch but 4 episodes of a series to see if we can get almost an entire understanding of the full run. And we are watching Taxi. We watched the first episode last week. This week, we're watching the ultimate episode, the highest rated on IMDb. Next week, we'll watch the lowest episode, and then we'll finish with the last episode of the series. This week's episode, the ultimate, is Reverend Jim, A Space Odyssey, which first aired September 25th, 1979. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man, this episode really reminded me of what I love most about the Full Experience, which is chiefly we get to solve a mystery. We have a second layer to the game because the question's always, why? Why is this episode good? And sometimes it's important and good and beloved and highly rated because it completes a long meta story. Other times it's for, so-and-so's last episode, et cetera, et cetera. I have theories about this one, but I'd love to hear you go first.
I don't know why this is the ultimate episode. It's one of the few times where I feel like it was a very good episode. In fact, in my notes, I put same length as Speed Racer, but feels half as long. I liked it. It was fun to see a young Christopher Lloyd, performing like I would expect Christopher Lloyd to perform. I think maybe that's part of the reason it's so highly rated, because that's a great performance from Christopher Lloyd. Lotka's black slang didn't seem to be the stellar part of this, because honestly, in 2025, it just felt like he was saying mainstream stuff. It didn't feel like he was being subversive or anything. This is very much of its period. You get that Vietnam moment that I think is what 1979 needed. Bigger deal then, though, than it seems watching it now. I don't know why this is the most highly rated show on Taxi, except that maybe Taxi's just such a good series. Every episode's pretty good, and this one just out-indexed it a little bit.
Tom, what does a yellow light mean?
It means only proceed into the intersection if you are sure you can clear it before the red light goes on. If not, don't enter the intersection.
Pete in the Twitch chat, Pete31415 is saying it's number one based on the slow down line. Look, there are 3 good laughs in this entire episode, but they're genuine good laughs. One is the slow down line. They did it once, and I was like, that is a poor joke. But then I
totally forgot about that joke. And that's why I answered in such a stupid way just now, because I totally forgot that was in this episode. And now I know what you were going after. And I think I know what you're going to say, but carry on.
Oh, no. It was a poor joke that they just brutally doubled down on and then
pushed down, through until it became funny.
Down, and it became uncomfortable. And I barked laughter alone in the room. So I noticed a very, very old school vaudeville vignette. By the way, the joke was Christopher Lloyd takes a test, says, what does a yellow light mean? And he whispers for the answer, and the guy goes, slow down. And so he says it slower and slower. It's painful until it's hilarious. The other vector is, this is the onboarding of a character. This is an outsider being brought into the virtual family of everybody in their living room or whatever. They liked that Reverend Jim character. And what they liked about him is he was the fringiest parts of themselves. I hated the movie Forrest Gump when I was younger because I got no fuzzy, warm, nostalgia glow of all the remember wins of boomer stuff. I thought it was self-indulgent and selfish. And because the whole time I'm watching it at the age of 17, 18, I'm thinking, here, now, we're here right and now. Why are you not telling a story
right here, right me? Now? There is no other place you'd rather be.
Exactly. But I said, Jesus, Jones, come on. And so, wow, now I'm indulging in the thing that I'm about to rail on. But now I understand we talk, I pay an awful lot of attention over the last year as I've posted nearly 1,000 shorts on the YouTube channel. And I noticed that titles, I think a lot about friction. How easy can I allow the viewer to insert themselves into this narrative? If you add too many characters, you lose them. If you overcomplicate the bit and you ask them to, if they have to remember something for a full minute, you're going to lose them. But if you make it about them, and even better, let them play both sides of the roles, then you get this frictionless onboarding. That's what Forrest Gump did, because everything was, I remember that, I remember that, I remember that. The moment Christopher Lloyd said Woodstock, I understood everything. He goes on long tangents about things he remembered from the 60s. And I thought to myself, at home in the 1970s, everybody's checking boxes. And then he gets to the part where he says, I protested that stupid war. And I thought, somebody out there is about to get out of his chair. And sure enough, Tony Danza did that. And you got that awesome moment where he says, hey, while you were out there saying all this thing, I was out there fighting and dying for you to say it. What do you got to say to that? Thank you. Genuinely great. Genuinely great, because I could see all of America finding a Teflon-coated, frictionless way to insert themselves into those moments to create genuine tension and a genuine payoff that delighted me. Outside of that, everything was boring as rocks.
Really? I thought it was enjoyable. I enjoyed the whole thing. It was very comfortable. But comfortable can also be boring.
The ham-fisted filling out of the eyes, like nowadays, I think everybody actually waited for him to write 5'8". There was just extended.
That was the joke, was like, oh, we're really going to say, and it kind of built you up for the slow down line, right? It's like, oh, he's really slow. And
I'll never know whether or not the slow down bit would have worked without the luxurious pacing of him filling out the form beforehand.
Sure. I think you're right, though. I think the slow down line is iconic, and I'm sure that bolsters its credibility. But that line of thank you is so perfect. And I think you explained it so well. I don't think everybody watching it now would understand just how big of a deal it was. How in 1979, the talk around the living room at family gatherings that I was at as a 9-year-old was these people don't, nobody thanks the veterans. And yes, Vietnam was a questionable war, but they still had to fight, and it's not fair that they don't get welcomed back. And we were a couple of years away from Ronald Reagan embracing that and writing it into the presidency. That moment, like you said, was a prism. You could see it as finally they thanked us, and you could see it as, yeah, thanks for going and fighting so I didn't have to, right? Like it worked. It was just so beautifully created that it worked for everybody.
Yeah. I would say there were 3 or 4 little vignettes. We also had, it's so funny for it to be out of character for Danny DeVito to be on the drugs. By the way, if you've read Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, I think it was Be Useful is his recent book. But in Be Useful, he talks about how on Twins, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they had a mostly useless shoot day because Danny DeVito dosed his cigar with marijuana. And so Danny DeVito, after that joke happened, committed that crime to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Isn't that
exactly
wild?
He's like, I got a great idea from this. It was fun to see. Louis has now come out of the booth in both of the episodes we've watched, right? One to hilarious reveal, the other just to, because he's been dosed. I don't know, man. This show feels like it perfectly represents pre-Reagan America. And I know Taxi lasts into the first couple of years of Reagan's term, but there is an indefinable, comfortable malaise that existed then that I think this perfectly captures.
Well, and we don't see, this is a time, you got to remember how crime-ridden New York is at this time.
Yeah.
And there really was what can you do about it? You can't fight City Hall. Everything's nasty. And if anything, this one brief moment, I mean, maybe they allude to it in other episodes, but at this time, essentially, these are soldiers. The moment they leave that area, they're at war. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are episodes about so-and-so getting shot and so on.
Yeah, yeah. It's certainly plenty of people vomiting in cabs, which still happens today. Also, we got a new location. Everything was basically either in the airport or the dispatch area. We opened in a restaurant. I don't know if there's been a restaurant in previous episodes at this point, right? But I was like, oh, we're at an Italian restaurant to open the show. That's kind of fun. And then we go back to the dispatch area.
We also the shabbiest of the sets was the testing area.
I forgot about the DMV
I think I
thing.
caught one of the walls wobbling, which made me grin when the letter wrote about how everything felt, shall we say, theatrical, or another way to phrase it would be staged.
That was actually shot in a real New York DMV in 1979, though the walls were just wobbly back then.
They were able to pack all 200 live studio audience in there.
Yes, exactly. That's all I got, though. I thought it was a fine episode, and I really did at the end go, oh, I watched that whole episode without really looking at my watch, and that's not been true of Speed Racer. So there we go.
It definitely took me along for the ride. There was a couple of slower moments, but I had a good time. Mainly the best part of it was for me to have that epiphany of why it was so highly rated, because I have to imagine that everybody would say, oh, it was like they were talking to me, because yes, they said literally all the things that that you might, statistically speaking, say at that time.
Slow down.
It's funny. It's hard to not go on defense when you hear that,
right? So that is Reverend Jim, A Space Odyssey. Next time we will watch the lowest rated episode, Vienna Waits, from October 15th, 1981. So 2 years away from the end of the run, season 4 of 5, season 4, episode 2. And this received a 6.5 out of 10. For comparison, Reverend Jim received a 9.1 out of 10. So Vienna Waits is the next episode if you want to watch it along with us. It is the lowest rated episode on IMDb of Taxi.
I'll make my prediction now. My prediction, clip show.
Ooh, you think so?
Yeah.
Vienna Waits. Vienna Waits doesn't sound very clip showy, but then
if they're about to go on a trip to Vienna
and they remember all the good times,
and they're at an airport stuck.
Oh, they're delayed at the airport to go to Vienna. That's why it's, okay. All right. Yeah. Could very well be. We shall find out next time on The Full Experience, and you will find out faster if you're a patron. Patrons get these episodes first. They get to weigh in on what we watch by sending us emails and listening to After Talk, which is a Patreon exclusive. Go sign up at patreon.com/Cordkillers, and we will be back for The Full Experience again next time.